Okay, so now we have a new T-bar, and basically with this T-bar you get your choice. You can use 2 O-rings on that center area. You can use 1 O-ring. You can use a softer O-ring like a red one. I have a real dummy O-ring right here now. The thing is, I don't know if that's TCS legal, because I don't know if this isn't a TCS O-ring. I don't know if they care or not. And you can also do stuff in combination too, like different O-rings, and you could do something to that effect. Generally, I just was running 1 O-ring, not like this, but just the 1 O-ring. In fact, most of the time a red one, a softer one. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but in this case I think we'll just take and run the red and the black. Theoretically, it should actually, running both O-rings should force this to move around a little bit more. So we'll find out how that works. So first off, I'm going to drop this on here. Put my screw on there. Then the other side, since it's not secured with a post, I'll have to take a lock nut and put that on there, which I believe I have one right here. Again, normally, not only when you're on the 4 posts, your car's stiff, but it's also a pain in the butt to get the battery in and out. So that's another downside, I suppose. It's fairly easy to get it out with just the 2 posts in, especially when they're loose and not bound on the top as well. So I'll put this one on here. Then we can also start putting the pod on the back. And the thing about the pod is, you can attach it normally, and I don't know, I've tried this before, I don't know how overly effective it is. I also added washers here. Now what this should do, hopefully, is actually bring this T-bar down slightly, and puts a little pitch into the T-bar, sort of like anti-squat. Now it's on the 103s, it's very desirable to slightly pitch your T-bar down towards the back of the car, because what it helps do is to calm the car down. It doesn't transfer as much weight forward as easily. With this car, I noticed it wasn't as huge of a difference as it was on the 103, but then I was able to also put a larger amount of pitch than you would be able to do on this car, just because of the way the car is designed. So we'll put the O-ring in here. The O-ring and the lock nut. Again, if I have my way, I would run it without that center screw. But we're kind of trying to do things TCS style. So we'll add the nut, the washer. Basically, we're trying to run this as loose as possible without the screw dragging around on the ground. So you're almost looking to just get just enough. So there's plenty of movement, as much as you can get without the screw actually not being in the countersunk area. And you'll as you get your car together, get everything on it, you'll be able to see better what we're doing there. And then we can take this out of here. This is just sort of to hold this down until we're ready. Another thing to do also, at this point, you can take. You also want to have, before you put your T-bar on, you want to make sure you have your screw here for your post, your spring post, because you can get that from the bottom. It's easier to get that from the bottom that way. Now, you got your bottom plate, which goes right here, and in that case, you want to know what you want to do here. If you want to try to put some spacers in there to bring the rear end down, you can do that, or you can just run it normal. I've also found it's easier to take your Allen wrench and sort of push these in that way, because they never seem to want. They're pretty tight. They don't want to ever line up right. So you can kind of do one of these numbers on them and press them in there so they draw in straight. I don't know. Let's look at some screws, because I think we'll have too much of a problem putting a small. You can put a small amount in here, but once you start getting too much, it's gonna make it look real weird, and probably you'll be dragging you'll lose ride height, basically, is what I'm saying. So you do want to use a limited amount of spacers if you're going to use them. So now we'll get our screws out here. See if I can start this out without too much trouble. And I think there it is. There's another washer. First one always goes on easy, the second one not so much. So we can get everything to line up here. So it's not lining up right now. There we go. So you can put all that on there. Get everything squared away. Then you got your rear pod. Put the diff off to the side for a second. When you build the pod, the best thing to do is probably build it up square on top of something like this. So let's talk about that in a second.